In this video, I'm going to walk you through a campaign I ran that got over 837,000 streams on Spotify using Facebook ads alone, no playlisting or anything, and only using tier 1 countries or expensive countries in the Facebook ads that we ran. So this is the Spotify for Artists. The song's been out for about a year. It's April 22nd now that I'm filming it. You'll probably see this video a couple days after. But the song came out, I believe, was April 16th or something, 2023. So it's been out for a little more than a year. The song has slightly more streams than this, but it's basically this number. You'll notice right off the bat, the streams per listener is pretty great. Having a 4 is great. Now, this is over a big time frame, a year, but still, that means that the people that are finding this song, each person on average is listening to it an average of over 4 times a pop, which is very good, because you can imagine most people listen once and then never listen again, right? Because they didn't love it that much. But then the people that really loved it and listened to it a bunch of times. Some songs will do better than this, some songs will do worse than this, but I just wanted to point that out. It's worth looking at the save rate, because in previous videos I've talked about, what is a good or bad save rate, or what is a good or bad playlist ad rate. Here it's about, I'm just going to call it 10%, it's saves divided by listeners. It's a little bit lower than that, maybe it's like 8% or something, but either way, considering how much algorithmic traction the song has gotten, this is actually a really good engagement rate. Remember, the song's been out for a year, and the algorithmic playlisting has actually been a pretty significant part of the song, and I'll flip over to playlist and show you that. So here we are on the playlist. If I look at since 2015, remember the song about 837,000, we have about 170 from Discover Weekly, about 130 from radio, and then we have, another 20 or 30K from the various other algorithmic playlists. And so that's, over 300,000 streams. Maybe we'll just call it 320 or something. The song has 837, so it's like 40% of the streams lifetime for this song have come from the algorithm, which also means they're free, but it also pulls down the save rates and the playlist ad rates because these are passive listening services. One of our goals in running a campaign is to trigger these playlists because they lead to the song getting way more traction long term. And actually, if we look at the last 28 days of this track, it's still a year later, right? This campaign hasn't run for basically 10 months plus. It's still getting 4,000 streams a month from radio alone. If I flip back to the regular stats, you can see in the last month, the song's still getting 17,000 streams from 7,800 listeners with a 2 stream per listener. So a lot of this is just going to be recurring listeners. And taking a look at the source of streams, and this is only in the last 28 days, but 28% is algorithmic. So that's the free stuff we're getting from Spotify algorithm. But this 61%, this is all those people that have saved and added this song to a playlist in the past. So this is just the actual fans of the song re-listening to it a year later. And that's why I care so much about the saves and the playlist ads, because this doesn't really, it goes down, but it doesn't go down quick. When you stop your campaign, this takes months or even a year to kind of fall off significantly. So that's worth noting. And before I show you the Facebook ads, one thing I want to look at is the saves over time. You can tell by looking at the saves when an ad campaign is being run, because you see this massive bump, right? So I believe this campaign ran in some capacity up until June. Even though the saves dropped to oblivion all the way down here, if I can zoom in a bit, if I look at let's look at the listeners. The listeners definitely drop off, but not to the same capacity that the saves do, right? Because people can only save a song once ever. They can't save a song again later. So it's this is directly proportional to new people checking out your song. So the ads stop, your saves stop. Same with playlist ads, kind of. But the listeners don't. The streams don't. I mean, they'll go down, but the recurring stuff matters a lot. And to further illustrate that point, if I go to the audience section, I look at source of streams. If we look at active sources, this is just all active sources, and I can break that up to just look at listeners' own playlists and library. So yes, it's definitely higher while the campaign is getting pushed out and the algorithms are pushing out hard, but this is all those people that saved and playlisted the song just continuing to listen to the song. If we can overlay all these active sources with the algorithmic sources, so you can see in general, and I've seen this for multiple songs, that the Discover Weekly stuff and Release Radar, your daily mix, tends to pick up more significantly earlier on. But radio long-term for a lot of people is actually a bigger algorithmic playlist, radio and autoplay. So you can kind of see that's the algorithmic here, and then all of a sudden radio kind of picks up, and then radio overtakes algorithmic. Eventually, Algorithmic wins again, but now they're kind of settled down to radio being slightly more, but they're pretty much equal, or they're close enough to consider equal. All right, so now we're flipped over into the Facebook ads. I'm going to show you how the campaign performed and also how much money we spent. But the first thing we're going to look at is that you need to smash that like button. Thank you. Now, going over the results, this campaign spent 4,000 Canadian dollars. This ad account is in Canadian CAD, Canadian dollars. But I put a little conversion thing here just so you don't have to trust my math on it. But it's about 2,900 USD. So this campaign spent $2,900. Now the song has gotten 837,000 streams on Spotify. If we do some quick math here, let me just pull up my little calculator. 837,000 streams times 0.0033, which is about a realistic number to assume, especially this was only tier 1, so the number actually might be higher than this. The song's made back $2,800. So this is just Spotify. This song has a ton of streams on Apple and YouTube Music and Amazon and the song's probably made another 25% more royalties than this, meaning the song's generated another, $500 or so. Or more than that. So the song's generated maybe $3,400 total, and they spent about $2,900 promoting the song. So the song is actually like a profit. Again, I want to stress that any money you spend in advertising, you shouldn't rely on that the money comes back, because in a lot of cases it won't. So the cost per conversion in USD was 32 cents, or 42 cents Canadian, 32 cents USD per conversion. And just a reminder, conversion campaign is when someone sees your ad on Facebook or Instagram. It's a video of you performing your song or some type of engaging clip about your song. They click on the Listen Now button. It takes them to a landing page in which they can choose to go to Spotify and or Apple or whatever. And then that click on that landing page to a streaming service, that's a conversion. So these 9,300 conversions we have here. And then the reality is there's actually more than this. There's probably more like 11,000 or 12,000 conversions. So that means this number is actually lower. Facebook doesn't capture every conversion. It misses some data. It's not perfect at capturing this. But, this 9,300 conversions, those are people who did all those steps. They clicked the ad, landed on the landing page, and clicked to go to one of the streaming platforms. And they did all of that for 32 cents a pop. There's a lot more to these campaigns, and we're going to dive into it. So if I click on, I'll show you the ad sets first. So this was actually a fairly simple one. I've shown some campaigns on this channel where they have, 20 ad sets, where it just took us forever to figure out what the hell to do. This one just kind of worked right out the gate. Breakdown, country. I'm sure some of you will just rip this country list, which is totally cool if you want to spend the time doing that. But this is the countries, right? So we don't have any, cheaper countries here. We don't have like Brazil and Mexico or India or Philippines. And we're getting pretty good results. Like look at the United Kingdom, we're getting 31 cents USD per conversion in the UK, and we're getting 35 cents a conversion USD in the United States. So very, very good result overall. So this is our ad set. We're using a Feature FM landing page. The reason why I'm getting an error is because Facebook changed how they target countries since then, but don't worry, you shouldn't have that error. So we're targeting people who like Spotify. They also have to like one of these things. So date night, love stories, romance films, romantic comedies, The Notebook. And then they have to like one of these things. Bryson Tiller, Frank Ocean, Post Malone, The Weeknd, Tory Lanez, Usher. And with all of those, with all of this, we still have 4 million people. And the reason why we went with this is because it's a song in the style of these artists. It's kind of like a R&B, contemporary R&B pop track. Kind of like a romantic, sexy song. But to further emphasize that kind of sexy romance aspect of the track, we have all this stuff, right? Date night, love stories, romance film, romantic comedies, The Notebook, just to try to hone in on those types of people a little bit more. We did also try, instead of targeting by the artists, we tried targeting by genre. So we did pop, rhythm, and blues. Nowadays, I would probably try contemporary R&B. I don't think I knew about that target back then, but there is a contemporary R&B target that is huge and a little more accurate than rhythm and blues, because rhythm and blues is kind of broad. Or it's not just like the modern R&B that a lot of people listen to, right? We're trying to filter by a specific type of person based on the song itself. It is worth noting that this is kind of like a cover song. It's not it's like a reimagined cover song. I don't have permission to just outright share it with you, so I can't show you the track itself, but it's like a romantic cover song of a classic hit that everyone knows. And it's kind of romantic and it's kind of sexy, but it's also pop and R&B. So if we look at the charts here, we get a little bit more information. First of all, we can see the age and gender distribution. Overall, women responded better to the song. As I said, it's kind of like a sexy, romantic, contemporary R&B pop song, so it kind of makes sense. But I want to walk you through the timeline and how things sync up between the ad spend and the Spotify stats. So this campaign itself started in April 19th, and you can see those paused points. So it paused May 19th, started again the 23rd, it paused again June 5th, and started again June 13th, and finally ended June 26th. Overall, this campaign ran from April 19th to June 26th. So we can go see if this lines up with what we said earlier. The campaign's running here, April 19th, and then we see that it drops off June 28th? June 28th? Yeah, which lines up exactly with this campaign ending June 26th. So you can see how like these dips here too, May 19th and June 5th. If I go to the stats here, May 20th and June 9th, right? So these drop-offs and saves correspond exactly to when the campaign stopped running. And so it just makes sense, right? Like this is the kind of thing you want to have happen. You want to have the Facebook data directly line up with your Spotify data in several ways, just to have it all make sense. Because if it doesn't make sense, you're just wasting your money. But now I can walk you through kind of what I like to have happen for songs. This doesn't always happen, and if it doesn't happen, it doesn't mean the song's a failure, but it's something that you kind of hope to aim for every single song that you promote. So what usually happens is, and I'm going to zoom in for this just to make it more clear. So I'm looking at streams in the last 12 months. So you drop your song, you're promoting it as hard as you can, you're trying to get the best result you can, and it's just kind of slowly inching up. Like this is normal. And you're spending the same amount of money per day, but the stream count grows every single day. And the reason is some of the people from yesterday are still listening on today and the next day and the next day. So even though you're getting the same amount of conversions per day because you're spending the same amount of money per day, you're getting more and more streams per day if it's a good song and people are re-listening to it, of course. Now there's two main algorithms you're trying to trigger early on. The first is Release Radar, and that only updates on Fridays. And you can only be on it for the first 28 days. So you only have a couple weeks to trigger it. Discover Weekly can happen at any time, but you have to hit about 10,000 streams in a month to get it. So in this case, we actually triggered Discover Weekly first, before Release Radar. The song came out, I think it was April 16th, so May 16th is the cutoff for Release Radar. We triggered Discover Weekly on Monday, which is the only day that Discover Weekly updates. And then that Friday, we triggered Release Radar as well. So you can see these little spikes that line up exactly with Monday and Friday. And then the song, basically May 19th or whenever after, it wasn't eligible for Release Radar anymore. But then we still get these Monday spikes. This is Discover Weekly. We get a Monday, Tuesday spike. We get a Monday spike here. Monday, 10,000 streams that day. Monday, Tuesday, 7,000, 8,000. And then all the way out, all these little oscillations we see, these little humps and spikes. Generally, these are Monday spikes, and that's because of Discover Weekly and how their algorithm works. I don't know what these two humps are. This might just be random, but all these very clear defined spikes, and even some of these smaller ones, or most of these smaller ones, are Discover Weekly. Now, it gets a little more subtle when you're looking out here, but that's just because we're so squished because of how massive the stuff was for the first 6 months in comparison to the most recent 6 months. But this kind of timeline, it's like run your ads, get them as great as possible, make sure the Spotify data is coming in great. Hopefully it's compounding and growing each day. You're getting enough numbers to trigger Release Radar. That gives you a bump, and then that gives you enough numbers to get into Discover Weekly. Sometimes you're on Discover Weekly for a week, and sometimes it's a really good week. Like it might be a 20,000 stream week from Discover Weekly. But sometimes you get on Discover Weekly and you get like 50 streams that week, and the next week you get like 100, and the next week you get like 200, and then you're on it for like years. And that can actually be a much better situation to be in. You're getting a little bit per week, but it's kind of growing, and then it hits a kind of an okay number per week, but then you're on it for a very long period of time. That's a much better situation to be than if you get like 8,000 streams a day, but then you're kicked off the next week and you never get back on it. So keep that in mind. So there's a lot to running campaigns like this. If you want to know how to do it from scratch, you can check out this video right here. I walk through the entire process from start to finish. I do also have a course called Spotify Growth Machine. I'll put a link right here where I walk through the entire process with a video library that's up to date and organized with access to my country list and a community where you can ask questions. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. Hope you found this interesting, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.